Good day, my name is Farai and these are my colleagues Astrid and Yolanda. We are excited to join you all at the 2021 OTASA Congress. Our research is titled Students' Resilience, Exploring the Perceptions and Experiences of Occupational Therapy Students. We are passionate about our research and we look forward to sharing our findings with you today. Our research was conducted in 2019 while we were fourth-year students. The study was conducted at the University of the Western Cape, which is located in Belleville, Cape Town. UWC was founded to provide inclusive education and reject racial categories created by the South African apartheid government. The history of apartheid and the university provide a unique frame to explore the perceptions and experiences of adversity in occupational therapy students. University is often a period where students face adjustments, and research has identified that previously marginalized students may face additional barriers related to finances, academics, and social contexts. Research has indicated that adversity relates to the development of resilience and could be a key factor to understanding student success. Resilience can be understood as the dynamic and subjective characteristics of an individual who demonstrate the ability to overcome, embrace challenges, and adapt positively in the face of adversity. Research has thoroughly explored the ideal university experience for students and has identified that many of the required factors are often not present for students in South African tertiary institutions, specifically at UWC, a previously marginalized university. This is linked to the cultural and societal aspects of adversity that stem from the history of apartheid and still persist within low socioeconomic communities. Despite these adversities, some students have been identified to demonstrate resilience in terms of having the capacity to overcome their challenges and progress through their academics. This field of research in regards to resilience has been highly westernized, and there is a need to enrich literature on resilience within a South African post-secondary educational system context. Our literature review has taken into consideration the history of South Africa, the background of UWC, the demands of an occupational therapy program, and literature on resilience in order to explore the complexities that occupational therapy students could face. To begin understanding the setting, research was derived from authors such as Bunting, Thomas, and Muswede, who have made significant developments in research within a South African university context. The transition from secondary to tertiary education is often accompanied by finding accommodation, creating new social relationships, balancing financial constraints, and an increase in academic demands. The shift towards an increase in external responsibilities can place additional pressure on students. Despite these adversities experienced, students have shown that resilience can be a dynamic and complex process that contributes to overcoming adversity. South African literature has identified that factors contributing to the development of resilience are social dynamics, traditional and cultural practices, as well as a strong belief in self. Resilience creates opportunities for an individual to continue growing and developing their knowledge, skills, and insight by moving through challenges. Prominent researchers focusing on resilience, such as Das Brailsford and Theron and Malindi, have identified that a strong belief in self can be linked to resilience and maintaining a balanced state of well-being. Within an occupational therapy context, the outcome of resilience could lead to success in completing occupations that are meaningful and appropriate, and for students, this could mean success in academics.
The framework used was the Kawa River model. The components of the Kawa model includes rocks, driftwood, walls, and the water, and represents the challenges, strengths, flow, and the environment. The model was used to help facilitate the focus groups and the interviews. The participants used the framework of the model to represent the experiences of adversity, the factors they considered as support, as well as their various contexts. The participants drew the model as a full representation of the journey of life, as well as a cross-sectional view of where they were during the time the study was conducted. The objectives of the study were exploring the perceptions of adversity, the factors which contributed to overcoming their adversity, the experiences which enabled students to develop resilience, and the experiences which were a barrier to developing resilience. The research approach was qualitative with a descriptive design. The participant recruitment and selection was done by using purposeful sampling with maximum variation. The participants that agreed to join our study were all third-year OT students between the ages of 21 and 24 and ended up all being female. As researchers, we incorporated the 4 strategies for trustworthiness, which included credibility, conformability, dependability, and transferability. The research study received ethical approval from the University of the Western Cape's Humanity and Social Sciences Research Ethics Committee. We provided participants with verbal and written information on the study and obtained written consent from the participants who also signed confidentiality forms. As researchers, we use pseudonyms and to maintain participant confidentiality, and the data was stored on the researchers' password protective devices.
Findings. There are 4 themes that arose from this research study, which are namely, the things that affect my family affect me. If your finances are not right, your life becomes a mess. Staying headstrong despite challenges. And ngabantu. In the theme titled, The Things That Affect My Family Affect Me, participants expressed the influence social dynamics have on their academic performance and experiences as students. The participants illustrated the importance of social relationships and how some of these relationships were enablers to being resilient through adversity. The categories that emerged from this theme were ripple effects, commitments and promises, relationship support, and faith. A couple of participants highlighted that often the adversities they faced are not theirs alone, captured by the quote from participant 1. I remembered that if I were to give up, I always think of my cousins and how me being selfish in that sense would affect them in the long term. The second theme titled, If Your Finances Are Not Right, Your Life Becomes a Mess, which was captured by a quote from a participant. This theme includes categories of personal financial responsibility, family employment, and financial aid. Participants expressed how financial situations within their family either supported them or increased stress and pressure. This stress and pressure for some participants came out when parents were unemployed, participants seeking employment to sustain their needs, or an obligation to help their family financially. Contrarily, there were a couple of participants who spoke about how they feel financially secure as they had the means to purchase materials such as laptops and food without worry. There were participants who qualified and had access to bursaries and scholarships, which was a significant contributing factor in supporting their academics. This experience is expressed by participant 2, who said, I get financial support, so that's a big thumbs up for me, and also it reduces a lot of financial stress from my family. Staying headstrong despite challenges. This theme contains 3 categories, namely internal motivation, identity formation, and escapism. The participants portrayed various factors that have contributed to them pursuing their degree despite the adversities they faced. Participants spoke about how they would persevere because their parents expected them to, and participants were mindful of the investments made by their parents to their future and education. Participants were also motivated to further themselves, their careers, and their financial situations. This motivation and perseverance is represented by the quote from participant 3. It is actually a fight. I think it's a fight, like a battle to keep going the way you need to or want to go, despite whatever tries to sway you the other way. The last theme, titled ngabantu, which means I am because you are, in isiXhosa, which is one of the official languages of South Africa. This saying highlights the link between participants and their communities. The categories that emerged in this theme were in regards to the communities, including campus community, academic community, and the home community. In the theme campus community, the participants expressed how the accessible resources on campus, such as Wi-Fi, computer labs, and library, contributed to being able to meet the academic demands. Within the academic community, the participants expressed contrasting responses regarding the Occupational Therapy department at UWC. Some of these participants mentioned that the department provides adequate support both personally and academically, and other participants felt a lack of support and understanding from the department regarding their personal and academic needs. However, due to the contrasting perspectives, a quote from a key informant highlighted that as a department, there is a desire to try support students but there is often a struggle in finding the unique type of support students require. Another part of the academic community was fear of failing, pressure to develop critical thinking, teaching styles, and training for fieldwork. This fear of failing for some participants stems from expectations from home environment. Participant 3 highlights that there is an expectation to get tertiary education and to do well at school.
River model, the participants portrayed their journey and the factors that influenced their experiences and perceptions of resilience. The focus groups facilitated a shared collection of experiences and a space to share individual stories that provided rich information for our research topic. Resilience can be developed and shaped by the context in which a person is a part of. The analogy proposed by Hamel and Iwama 2012 stresses the connectedness of individuals and environments. This analogy can be applied to the South African context and links to the cultural phenomenon of I am because you are. Participants expressed how their resilience and strength in dealing with adverse situations is drawn from the people around them, and this is found within the Riverside walls. These findings are linked to Theme 4, which portrayed that motivation from others contributes to the development of resilience. A common narrative among participants was that social dynamics, as indicated within Theme 3, is multifaceted as it consists of the wall, the driftwood, the rocks, and which in turn contributed to the development of resilience within the wall. The water was a representation of the life flow of the participants and was impacted by the driftwood, rocks, and in turn, the river wall bottom. The participants' drawings of their Kawa models showed low flow when challenges were present and a larger flow when experiencing a state of well-being. The participants identified that driftwood could be a liability or an asset towards creating a larger or lower flow, such as with social relationships. Each theme within the study integrated the various supports and positive structures that participants utilized or relied on in order to overcome or adapt to their adverse circumstances, in order to increase their flow, which is linked to resilience. This can be further supported by research by Wang, Zhang, and Zimmerman 2015. The rocks were the life circumstances, which consisted of expectations, academics, religious practices, trauma, mental health, and financial situations. These rocks added pressure to participants, which hindered academic performance, increased feelings of anxiety, and decreased self-efficacy. These findings are supported by Pather and Dorasimi 2018. Lastly, driftwood is described as personal assets and liabilities that individuals have access to. Driftwood created the potential for flow, which could be increased or decreased depending on the person's life experiences. Participants described the most common driftwood within their Kawa models as being social support. Participants felt that being supported financially and emotionally contributed to their development of resilience. One study, which explored resilience in OT students, found that these students' primary support was provided by their families and that it's been associated with resilience. Faith was another strong driftwood identified by participants. Referring to Theme 4, titled Staying Headstrong Despite Challenges, the participants expressed the importance of faith in strengthening their ability to understand life events, and this is linked to the concept that faith shapes individuals' worldviews.
Limitations. Within our study, we experienced limitations in regards to the diversity of the participant population. These limitations occurred in the form of only having participants who repeated modules, only having female participants, and not having participants who use funding from the National Student Financial Aid Scheme. Our last limitation was due to our timeline, which resulted in only one individual interview with 2 participants. Despite our limitations, data saturation was reached. Recommendations. To the profession of occupational therapy, further research needs to be conducted within the South African context that focuses on the professional development that students are required to undergo and how that aligns with their personal and social context. To higher education, students are faced with barriers impacting their mental health status, which may result in an impact on their performance. Thus, a recommendation would be to expand student support services in order to provide adequate distribution, access, and diversification of resources. Distance learning during COVID-19 pandemic. In light of recent developments pertaining to the COVID-19 pandemic, further research exploring resilience in students